So, as much as I love anime, I don't really watch a lot of them. I guess you can say that I'm picky when it comes to anime. However, Hellgirl was like one of, I guess, the more modern ones that I got super into when it was being released. I still remember actually in high school saving up my lunch money just so I can go to Best Buy every Tuesday and buy like volume 1, 2, 3 as they were coming out. Well, lunch money that I would save up and then I would ask my dad to pay for the rest. Anyway, you can definitely say that that was a series that I was super into. And like any fan, I did try to, check out everything related to it. I know they released a manga later, which I did read, and then they did a live action TV series as well that I watched in its entirety. Um, but I didn't like that TV series for some reason. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I don't really remember. I know for sure that the first episode was exactly the same as the first episode in the anime, but there was just something about it that I didn't like, and I would have to revisit it now to kind of figure out what it was. But if I had to guess, just by looking at images online, I think a part of it might have to do with the actress they chose to play Hellgirl. I mean, she's a really cute actress, but I think that was the problem. I think she was too cute. Like, she didn't really seem like Hellgirl. I don't know. Again, I can't really remember, but I do recall not liking that live action TV series. And I've seen a lot of people say that, this series just isn't meant for live action. And I never really gave that, like, too much thought until now, because, of course, there is a live action adaptation. And a lot of recent anime live action adaptations from Japan, not from America, have been pretty well received, I think. That Kenshin movie was well received by fans and audiences, and personally, I liked the Tokyo Ghoul live action movie. Of course, there are things you can't really include in like a hour and a half to 2 hour movie. So, I mean, a lot of fans are gonna be, nitpicking at it. I, through the years, have become a little more lenient, I guess. I try not to be that fan that's, nitpicking things like, oh, like, that's the wrong shade of hair color, or like stupid things like that. I try not to bother with stuff like that. So when I saw the trailer for the Hellgirl adaptation, I thought, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot. Now, the one thing that completely sold me was the fact that the film was actually directed by Koji Shiraishi, who directed one of the only found footage horror films that I like, which is Noroi. So once I found out he was the guy directing it, I said, cool, I'm for sure gonna check it out. Now, Koji has quite an interesting resume, because he does mostly horror films. Actually, in fact, I want to say that he's only done horror films, but he's done a lot of different subgenres of horror. For example, he's dabbled in exploitation with Grotesque. He's done, I guess, more like urban legend type horror films with Carved and Teke Teke. Of course, he's done found footage with like Noroi and Cult. And he's done very commercial horror films too. He recently did Sadako versus Kayako, which I think was a few rewrites away from being like really good, but I think from a director's perspective it was great. And although he does reuse a lot of the same elements in his horror films, which makes them his, they always feel very fresh. So although I haven't been a fan of every film he's done, I think actually I wasn't very fond of Cult. I do appreciate the fact that he's always, he's like a chameleon. He's always shape-shifting and doing different things. You could just really tell that he's passionate about filmmaking. But anyway, let's get to the point. Koji Shiraishi's Hellgirl opens up with a sequence that takes place in the 1960s. It takes place in a school. So right away we're shown, I guess, like the first grievance that's being avenged by Hellgirl. We're introduced to who is being sent to hell, why they're being sent to hell, and how it all happened. So it kind of sets everything up for the rest of the film. And it's not just like a random sequence, because after it's over, we jump forward to present time, and we're introduced to one of our lead characters who's a journalist, and he's actually interviewing the girl who sent the other girl to hell. And from there we transition over to our other two lead characters, Miho and Haruka. Now, Miho is kind of, like a very sweet, timid girl, and Haruka is more of like an edgy, like, don't fuck with me kind of girl. They actually become friends because they meet at a concert, and they form a really strong friendship because Haruka actually protects Miho from being sexually harassed during the concert. Now, it just so happens that there's a lot going on with the musicians, behind the scenes. And the reporter happens to be in a lot of these concerts, so that's kind of how they all connect. The two characters actually get involved with one of the musicians that they're a fan of, and, well, that's when the drama ensues. Obviously, I don't want to say what's going on, just to avoid spoilers. So, needless to say, more than one person gets sent to hell in this movie, which might worry some fans, I guess, because then I guess that maybe makes it seem like it's kind of a mess, but surprisingly, it all blended really well. Like, nothing felt shoehorned in. It all just kind of flowed very nicely. To give my verdict, I actually thought the film was really great. And that's kind of a relief because, like I said, I didn't like the live-action TV series, so there was a big chance that, this might have followed in those footsteps and I wouldn't have liked it. Of course, the main highlight was Tina Tamashiro as Enma. I guess you might think that, playing a very stoic character would be easy, but, I beg to differ. I would imagine that it's actually quite hard, and she pulled it off so well, and she looks great. My favorite thing is that she's actually treated as, like, a horrific character. As I mentioned earlier, the live-action TV series, they cast a really cute actress, and they, she kind of just... She is very stoic, but there was no creepy factor to her, I guess. In this film, there actually is a creepy factor to Enma, thank goodness. And it's very well executed. I guess the one thing I do want to reveal is the fact that this is not an origin film, so they don't go into Enma's story. They don't explain why she's doing what she's doing. They don't go into any of that. And maybe that's going to disappoint some fans, but for me personally, I was kind of glad that they didn't go there. I think revealing her origin story is rewarding once you've gone through like a long arc, like in the anime. Had they done it in the film, I don't think it would have been as effective for me. So really the film kind of just plays out like a really long episode, just like a regular episode. And I could be wrong, but I want to say that most fans of the series do like the human drama of the episodes. Obviously, it's a blast watching Enma and her team drag people to hell, but I think what I enjoyed more was seeing the story unfold, I guess, like seeing the character story unfold, seeing why. Seeing all that unfold was my favorite aspect of the series, and then, at the end, when Enma does take them to hell, it's like the cherry on top. So that's sort of how the movie works, is you get to know these characters, you see what's going on in their lives and what drama, unfolds. So by the end of the film, once somebody gets sent to hell, and I'm not going to say who, but once they do, it is really satisfying. So even though the movie focuses on, like, the human characters, I guess, we do see a lot of Enma and her team, so they're definitely not underutilized. In fact, every time they're on screen, there's a sudden shift in, like, the color scheme. Once they come out to do their thing, it's, they use a lot of vibrant reds, but it's not like a primary red. They use, like, it's like a red-orange and, like these purples and these blues. Just, like, vivid colors, which I know it's not, like, a new thing in film that's been used a lot, but I think it was done so effectively here, and I just really like the aesthetic of it. And there are these moments, I think there's only 2 moments where you see, the characters get a glimpse of what hell would be like, and it's just like a burst of these colors. And aside from the colors, another thing that stood out to me was the music. I, for some reason, was under the impression that they were going to use the music from the anime. I guess because that's what the live-action TV series did. They just used the same music. So I just kind of assumed they would, but they didn't. And I'm glad they didn't, because it sets it apart from, the series. But also, they use, like, really traditional instruments for the score here, and it suited the characters so well that I really enjoyed it. And see, that's like a weird balance you have to have when you adapt, like something that's pre-existing. If you're gonna adapt like a book, an anime, or whatever, of course you want to try to do your own thing, but you want to remain faithful to the source material. And I think Koji Shiraishi did a really good job with that, because for the most part, it's completely faithful. Here and there, he'll throw in like his own little thing. For example, when a character accesses the Hell Correspondence link, like hands come out of the screen and grab her, right? So like that's not in the series, but it worked well with the mythology anyway. Like I think it's a cool visual to have, and also thankfully it was only used once. I feel like if it would have been used more than once, it kind of would have grown tired of it. But it's like little subtle things that the director throws in that don't really distract from the overall picture, I guess. But with any faithful adaptation, of course, there are things that, as I mentioned, can't be included. Here in this case, we don't see Enma Ai like on the boat taking the person to hell. We don't see that. We don't see her with her carriage being flown out. Like, there are things for sure that were not included, but I honestly think they were things that were not necessary. And going back to the fact that it's not an origin story, I think it's kind of great for people that are not familiar with the characters. If this is the first exposure to the world, I think if they're interested enough, they can go look up the anime and they can watch it and they can find out like who are these characters and what's going on. So if I had to nitpick anything, I would say that I wish the scenes where Enma Ai was sending people to hell, I do kind of wish they were a little bit longer. And at first I thought that I wanted that because they were short. But I actually rewatched the film again, and they're not short. I think I just really enjoyed those scenes so much that I wish they would have been like dragged out a little bit longer. Especially the last grievance, like the last person that gets sent to hell. Since it is, the finale of the film, I feel like they really could have done a little bit more with it. Only because, like, in the anime, the victim is always, like, played with. Like, they don't really know what's going on at first. They kind of enter, like, this weird dream sequence. And after being messed with for a while is when, Enma Ai comes out. And they do that here. They do mess with the victims for a bit and before they send them to hell. But, greedy little me just wishes that, at the very least, the last sequence could have been longer. But, I mean, again, that's not a criticism at all. It's more of like a wish list kind of thing. Just because I'm greedy as fuck and I want to see more. But, yeah, overall, as a fan of the anime series, I was completely satisfied with it. I kind of was under the impression that they would release it in the US, only because the Tokyo Ghoul film was released here. Like, one of our theaters even had screenings of it, so I kind of just assumed, oh, it's another anime adaptation. I'm pretty sure Funimation will pick it up or something. I haven't seen news of that as of yet, but I don't know. But regardless, the film was a joy to behold. But yeah, I mean, if you have any questions about the film that I didn't go over in the video itself, go ahead and ask them in the comments. But thank you for watching, and I hope if you do get a chance to see the movie, I hope you like it as well. But until next time, sweet screams, everyone.